Hello and welcome to this workshop on how to trust yourself and your decisions. Welcome to everybody who's here. Lovely to see you, Paula. Lovely to see you, Alex. And I already said hello to Carrie, so you are also welcome. This is recorded, so if you are on screen, it's okay. You're not going to be part of the recording unless you start talking. So I'm just saying, which is all good with me, but I am going to put it up on YouTube afterwards. So in case you want to take your precautions, feel free, but I love seeing you here. If you're watching the replay, welcome to you too. It's lovely to have you here. I want to get started on time, so I'm just going to go straight into what we're going to cover today. And if you're here live, feel free to participate via the chat, to comment or ask questions, and I'll try to keep my eye on it. And well, let's just dive in, because I think this trust element is so important, because if you don't trust yourself, well, you're really going to be quite limited, because you're always going to be fearful. You're going to, like, imagine there's something you really want. I talk a lot about desires, and that reminds me, I haven't presented myself, but let me talk you through this first. If there's something you really want, but you don't trust yourself, you don't trust yourself to be the person who has it, or you don't trust yourself to do what it takes, or you're sort of talking yourself down, well, it's going to be so much harder to get what it is you really want. And maybe you're also the kind of person who sort of asks yourself a million questions before you take any action or before you commit. Like, what if I take this action and it doesn't get me what I want? Or what if I do all this and I make a mistake? Or what if I'm not supposed to be doing this? Or what if I really speak my mind and people don't like it? Or what if this is not what I'm meant to do? What if this doesn't even fill me up? Like, there's so much we could be thinking that really prevents us from diving in and feeling into this deep trust. Hello, Paola from Italy. Yes, lovely. Hi. So my name is Katrina, and I'm a life coach, and I coach people who want a life that is out of the ordinary, who want something more out of life. And so I help them find out what that is and then take the action steps towards it. And sometimes the action steps happen in the mind, is just what I want to say. But let us dive into this trust. We need to develop trust. And what I really would love for you to take away from this workshop is that it is safe to trust. I had this going on for me for a while, or for a long time in my life. I thought it was sort of irresponsible to trust. Like, I felt that if I just trusted, well, then I wasn't really making sure, if you see what I mean. Like, I had to be doing something, I had to be planning, I had to be controlling. And if I wasn't doing all of that, well, then of course things would go wrong, right? And that would be really irresponsible. And I'm not saying that planning doesn't have a place, but there's a difference between the planning and the attempting to control everything, right? And this feeling of control really disconnects us from the enjoyment, especially when we are trying to control things we can't control. And when you trust, well, when you put your trust in your capacity to control the outcome, well, you can't trust that, can you? Because you can't always control the outcome. So this is really what I want to walk you through today. And well, I'm sure you're going to recognize a few things here, because I think we've all been there, like this sort of compensation, overcompensation by control. And my idea is that with the control goes the enjoyment, goes the happiness, goes the spontaneity, goes all those gorgeous things. And that's not at all what we want. So I've got a very funny story to share with you. And it is so appropriate, because I was planning this workshop on trust, and I've been planning it for 3 or 4 weeks. And just last week, I was coming back from our chalet in the Alps, and we go there by bike and train, just for the fun of it, the adventure of it. And coming back, we had several things happen. And I thought, how appropriate to this theme of trust, because it's not as if after this workshop you're going to trust forever, right? It is like a muscle you have to keep flexing, really. It's not a done once and for all thing. We always have to be reminding ourselves for it. And I was really called to trust in some big ways. So the first incident we had, me and my husband, his name is Manuel, we were biking on our way home. And so we camp on the way, and we go to a hotel, and like we make it like a little holiday out of it. So we were biking along. We set our eyes on this village where we wanted to stay. We got there, put up the tent out in the wilderness, sort of hidden away, all gorgeous. And then we wanted to bike into the nearest village, 3 kilometers away, to have dinner. So all gorgeous. We get on our bikes, we bike into the village, and boom, my bike breaks down. It was pitch black, right? We couldn't see anything, so we couldn't really see what was wrong. But Manuel, my husband, thought, yeah, this is probably this technical thing. I can't fix that right here, right now. So I'll just tow you all the way to the restaurant. And so we put up a thing between our bikes, and he towed me all the way to the restaurant, and we had a lovely meal, enjoyed ourselves. Asked people if they knew a bike repairer, but the next day being Sunday and the Monday being a bank holiday, well, there wasn't really much chance of that. But we got the phone number of somebody, so that was all good. But what I really noticed here was that we were able to enjoy that meal. We were able to be in the moment and really enjoy ourselves, despite the fact that we didn't know how we were going to cope the next day. Like, we didn't know whether we could continue with that holiday or what we were going to do. And this is really what I would like for you too, that capacity to trust there will be a solution, right? Let me not worry it away. Let me not try and protect myself from whatever will happen, right? So when you're able to enjoy yourself, even when you've got a few problems on the horizon, that I think is gold. When you can really allow yourself to let go, perhaps with that irresponsible feeling, because I'm sure that a few years ago, I would have been feeling irresponsible if I hadn't been planning, oh, let's phone this guy now, even though it's Saturday night, and let's just arrange for this, and let's make sure we get an Uber, and I would have been planning the whole thing, if you see what I mean. And I think that would have taken away from my enjoyment. So I'm just saying that, but that's not the end of it. Let me know if I'm boring you. But the next day we traveled on to our hotel. We booked a hotel. It was all fabulous, one of those French hotels out in the countryside. The reception was the bar, of course. You walk into the bar, nobody there. You open the door into like the kitchen, the restaurant, and everything. Say, hello, anybody there? And there was somebody there who showed us to our room, and everything was gorgeous. We had a lovely meal. Big open fireplace, everything was gorgeous. Next day, we biked along to the railway station, got on the train, perfect. Got on the next train, perfect. And then boom, the third train, full. Like there were hundreds of people on the platform, no way of accessing that train. And seeing those hundreds of people waiting on the platform, we just thought, well, there's only one other train today. There's no way all these people are going to fit onto it. So we thought, we've got the tent, we've got the sleeping bags, let's just go and camp for another night. Right? Wonderful. But where? Where can we go and camp? So we looked at the map, found another village, biked all the way there against the wind, like it was sort of brewing up a storm. We found a forest to sleep in, and fortunately a shop that was open so we could buy something to eat. So it was all good. But I hadn't even told you, I think I forgot how we fixed the bike. Oh, silly me. We did fix the bike, like by miracle. Like when we woke up in the morning, my husband said, "Oh, I think I just fixed your bike." And it was like nothing. right? But because we could see what was going on, it wasn't an issue. So fast forward to the camping, camping in the forest, having had our meal from the grocery shop, everything was fine. Caught a train the next day, we thought, went to the station. I got on board with my bike. Manuel gave me the other bike, and he just turned around to get our little trailer with the tent and the sleeping bags when the doors closed. So my husband was standing on the platform, no phone, no money, 2 sleeping bags and a tent, right? And I was on the train for a 2-hour train ride to our next town. So I thought, okay, on this train, let me just go to the next station where we can meet up. He'll probably get another train. And so I did, but it was so fun just watching the reaction of the people on the train who were like horrified, and as was I. Like, but then I said, oh, this isn't really a problem, right? He's safe. He's with the trailer, so we didn't leave the trailer, like he was with it. And really, my riding for 2 hours alone on a train with 2 bikes is not a problem. Him waiting at the station is not a problem either. We don't have tickets, which is not a problem either because we've got a good excuse, right? So I thought everything is really good. I can just trust to go with the flow. We couldn't communicate because he didn't have a phone, and my phone was out of order, no electricity, right? So got to the station, thought he would be on the next train. At the station, his train, the next train, was nowhere to be found, like on the what do you call it, on the display. So I thought that's weird, but waited anyway. And when the train should have got in, I couldn't find him. Like I wasn't very mobile with 2 bikes, right? But he wasn't there. It's a big station. But then I heard the station piano. I heard my husband play the beginning of the Goldberg variations on the piano. And I thought, that's Manuel. And then we were able to find each other, right? Take the next train home. So all that just to illustrate, and I think I'm going to get back to that as I'm going to explain to you what I mean by trust. It is that ability just to take it in your stride, like not to catastrophize, not to think, oh, I did something wrong. Oh, I should have foreseen this. Oh, I should have done this some other way. I would really like for you, if you don't like biking, if you don't like camping, no problem. But I would really like for you to open up to this possibility that you move through life with zero control of what you cannot control. And then you take responsibility for what you can control, but you take responsibility without attributing fault, without the judgment, right? Because when you're able to do that, I really think it is the key to happiness. Not that we become exactly like children again, but I think there is all of this available to us, like this spontaneity and this full participation in the present moment without ruminating on the past or catastrophizing about the future. And I think that's really worth its weight in gold. So I'm just seeing messages. Hello from Ohio. How exciting. Ohio. Wow. Brilliant. So comments, questions, feel free. What I would like to show you today is that you absolutely can trust yourself, but not in your capacity to control any outcomes. So that is what I'm going to demonstrate to you. And then I'm going to walk you through how you can make decisions you won't end up regretting, like decisions you can really stand behind, decisions that you won't end up sort of second guessing yourself and changing your mind, decisions that feel good. So once you replace the desire to control the outcome with the trust that you can handle whatever comes your way, so much more joy and harmony and inner peace becomes possible. So in our biking trip, trusting that nothing could happen really that I wouldn't be able to control. Really put myself at peace. So my bike can be broken. There will be a solution. I don't know what that is yet, but I'm sure there will be one. And I don't need to know it right now. I can enjoy myself right now, not knowing. And as a parable to life, or like an example, an image of life, if you can walk through life with that sort of confidence, with that kind of trust that I don't know what's going to happen next, but I feel that I will be able to handle whatever comes my way, I'm good. So obviously, if you go into your past to show you, to draw evidence of how it is that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way, you will just keep creating more of your past. Right? Do you follow me? That if you want to build your trust in yourself and your capacity to react to circumstances appropriately and to be safe, well, you'll just be keeping redoing what you've already done and you won't be expanding. So I think I have to take you through a detour to trust and look at this idea of control and comfort and safety. So I believe that we have come to confuse comfort with safety. So feel into that for yourself. Have you ever in life really experienced fear of not being comfortable? I used to help women lose weight, and for them, feeling hunger was an emergency situation. But when they were willing to feel the hunger, meaning being uncomfortable, well, so much more became possible. And feeling hunger is not a life-threatening situation. Like, we're still safe, even though we're hungry, if you can follow me. So if we can start separating for ourselves this idea that, okay, I can be uncomfortable, but I'm still safe, what else becomes possible from there? So in my biking trip, well, it was perhaps uncomfortable not to get home the day we thought we'd get home. So that would be uncomfortable in the mind because, oh, I will be missing that and I'll not be doing that. And so if we go through our schedule. But also, oh, I can sleep in a tent in the middle of a forest in a storm, knowing that, well, basically I'm safe, right? I might not be super comfortable. There might be a lot of noise from the wind and from the trees, but really, basically, I am okay. And so the added bonus was that we found food to buy on the way, right? We could have just got there and there not being anything open and, well, going to bed without food, really. That was also an option, right? And I let all of that be okay. I didn't try to micromanage it. I didn't try to reassure myself that it was going to be controllable. I was just willing to see, okay, what happens now? What happens now? I know that fundamentally I'm safe. So if I'm willing to be a little bit uncomfortable, well, then I get to have these holidays, right? I think when we get so addicted to comfort that we no longer trust ourselves to do anything we haven't done before, well, then it becomes a prison, really. It becomes a prison where we are addicted to comfort. So I'm not saying you have to be able to go out and camp in nature. That is just my story, right? But what about you being willing to be a little bit uncomfortable with something that you haven't done before and just sort of having that curiosity towards it instead of that contraction into fear? What if you could tell yourself, this feels hugely uncomfortable, but I'm safe. I really am safe. I think that's the way to build trust in yourself, not through going to your past. Of course you can, But if you go to your past to build trust in the present and in the future, what our minds do is that they go immediately to what went wrong. So often when we are scanning our past to build our future, we only find the evidence of what didn't go the way we wanted it to. We don't find the evidence of everything that went well because we might not even have noticed it. And our minds won't have been busy ruminating it. So if you can just consider for a moment with me, if I was willing to look into the future with this idea that, oh, I'm really curious, am I willing to be uncomfortable here or not? And just if we continue on this sort of vacation mode, this journey trip mode, it could be for you like, I'm going to a city as a tourist. Am I willing to not have a hotel room when I arrive and find it when I get there? Or do I want it booked? If I want the hotel room booked, do I need to have all my activities planned out ahead of time? Or do I want to see whether I can find something on the spur of the moment and trust myself to be doing something I adore? Right? Can you let go a little bit of that tendency to plan everything out? Are you willing to risk a meal? Are you willing to feel the discomfort of anything really, like missing a meal or well, what can I think of? Missing a train or missing a plane or so anything in that you can sort of open to. And I think when we do open up to that and we do take ourselves through it, well, then we see, oh, I was able to handle it. I really was. And what was curious, well, maybe that's French, what was really fun for me to see was that I've got a lot of fear around travel. I've got a lot of fear around missing planes or missing trains through a fault of mine, right? So I've always been telling myself, make sure you are on time. And I've been sort of stressing out about that many times in my life. Make sure you are on time. And it's gone so far as I've even started doubting my ability to read the time correctly. Like, oh, is it really 7 o'clock? Like, sort of spinning out there thinking, oh, I will be at fault if I miss this train, if I miss this plane, right? I will have done something wrong. But if I'm willing to be uncomfortable missing a train, which happened to me recently too, if I'm willing to have it be okay that my husband, who isn't suffering, is left behind on a platform and I go somewhere else, if I'm willing for that to be okay, well, then I can let go of my fear of travel. Do you see what I mean? So I feel a little bit as if life is bringing these things forward for us to heal. Like, this is coming up. Okay, I'm ready to heal this. I'm ready to let go of my fear of travel. When I say fear of travel, it's been more like an apprehension. Like, I mean, I've always traveled and I've traveled a lot in life, but I've always been making sure that I would be there on time and that, I would have my tickets and all of that. So it's really interesting for me to try this new kind of approach. And I think I'm slowly healing this idea that I'm somehow at fault if things go wrong. Maybe you can resonate with that. If you resonate with that sort of mindset where you're thinking, okay, it's on me. It's on me to make sure everything goes right. It's on me. And if things don't go right, it means that I made a mistake, that I'm at fault. Can I get a yes to that? Or a no? I've never been like that. Yeah, I can see some of you nodding your heads. Right? And maybe if that has happened to you too, you can feel that that is a kind of prison. Right? You're closing doors here. I'm just going to have a sip of water. I was saying to Carrie that I've got a cold. So I hope I won't start coughing here. So this idea that I need to be in control and I need to be in control of the outcome. If I'm not controlling the outcome, then I'm at fault. So that is joy killer in and of itself, isn't it? And the more time we spend spinning in that, the more we really suffer, is what I'm saying. And again, please understand that there's nothing wrong with planning. Like there's nothing wrong with buying tickets in advance and booking your hotel in advance. There's nothing wrong with it, right? Just if you want to build more trust in yourself, try and play with these limits. At the restaurant, try and order something you've never had before to see, will I like it? How can I like it? Right? Experiment with this. How can I be the observer of my reaction to these things? Because even if you order something at a restaurant and you don't like it, you can say, oh, I really don't like this. How can that be okay? Right? How can that be okay that I'm not enjoying the food? What else is available for me to enjoy at this restaurant? Tell me if I'm absurd now, but I like playing with these thoughts. Like, what is really available to me if I let go of this idea that to be safe, I need to control, and to be safe, I need to be comfortable. What I'm trying to convey is that we can be uncomfortable and safe. So when we let go of the need to control the outcome, when we let go of the endless planning and foreseeing everything that could go wrong, well, then so much more joy, happiness, connection, I think, to the present moment becomes available. So if you can feel into that for you, does that sort of bring up any ideas? Yeah, Wendy's saying great ideas. Maybe we can have a few more. Maybe we can just share what we can dare ourselves to try out, to get out a little bit of our comfort zone and feel how safe we are. Because with my example of the meal, if I'm able to sit in a restaurant with food I'm not enjoying and still be okay, not be thinking, oh, I shouldn't have ordered this. Thinking instead, I ordered this, I took a risk. I'm perfectly safe. It's just that the food really didn't appeal to me. I can still enjoy the conversation. I can still enjoy the interior design. I can still enjoy something here. Right? It's that sort of risk-taking and feeling that you're safe. So I hope that inspires you to try something out, knowing that you're safe. So I've been experimenting with, let's say, rock climbing. And I know intellectually speaking that I am quite safe, but I don't feel safe and I really don't like it. And I've tried it several times now. So I also feel quite justified in saying, no, rock climbing is not my thing. I don't like it. Let's put that to rest. So it's okay that you don't want to do all of it, right? It is okay. But maybe you can find something that will just allow you to feel completely safe but uncomfortable. Yes, it's a personality question, Tanya says. You enjoy your comfort zone. Yes. So that is so true. But can I also invite you to think about, Tanya, that personality isn't permanent. I'm just throwing that out there, right? I think we can really nurture things in ourselves that we want to bring forward, and we can tune out things that we don't enjoy. So I really think we can shape ourselves, is what I'm saying. If you enjoy your comfort zone, like I enjoy being comfortable. Like when I got back from the camping, I enjoy having my café crème in my bed in the morning. I enjoy that so much. It's a luxury to me. I enjoy it so much more because I went several days without it, right? So when we get out of our comfort zone and come back into it, it's also sort of a heightened enjoyment. And what I really particularly enjoy about it is that I know that I am not dependent on it. So I can choose my café crème every morning. And I'm saying café crème because I live in France. I can enjoy that in my bed many, many mornings, and I really enjoy it. But it's a choice, right? I am free. I am completely free. I am free to enjoy myself with a cup of tea on a kitchen bench, right? I'm absolutely not dependent on any of this. I can choose it. Do you see the difference? LS is saying same. Yeah, we all enjoy our comforts, don't we? I enjoy the comforts of my house. I enjoy that so much. But I want to be able to enjoy other things too. I want to be always expanding, right? So Wendy's saying that Thanksgiving want to go to the park and try and be in nature without needing to be with others. Yeah, the fear of being alone. That is so brave of you, Wendy. I think that is really, really brave because when we can be with people because we choose them, not because we need them. I remember the first birthday I spent on my own, I think the first and only, but I had planned nothing and my husband didn't get home because he was somewhere else. And so I was alone on my birthday. Cool, right? Let me enjoy this. And next time when I choose to be with people, I'm really choosing it because I know that, oh, I can be on my own and be perfectly fine. That's an excellent example. Yeah, Paula says sometimes it's better to be alone than with people you do not want to be with. Yeah. So that's really where I want to go with this comfort zone. It is when you feel a prisoner in your comfort zone, that's where you have to question yourself. If you feel with your comfort zone, it's something you're choosing because it's just what you're choosing in the moment, well, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with comfort, right? There's nothing wrong with comfort and pleasure and desire and feeling so, so good, right? That's how we want to live life. But if we're staying at home because we are afraid, as Paula says, afraid of what might happen outside, well, then that's less fun, right? Or if you talk about, like, many of you know me here, so you know that I used to be like a professional people pleaser. So I couldn't just say what I thought, right? I had to sort of filter that through, yeah, how will that person perhaps react to it? Will this be pleasing for them to hear, or will I have to sort of package it into something fluffy and make it sound different and sort of deny what my real opinion is? Like getting out of my comfort zone meant, well, actually, I'm going to say what I really think in an appropriate way. Like I'm going to say it with love, but I am going to say it. That's another way of playing with this, this control, because as a people pleaser, I was trying to control other people's reaction to what I said, right? And of course, I couldn't control that. So I was bound for failure, really, apart from being fake. I was bound to fail because I was attempting to control what was beyond my control. Much better to trust myself to be able to live with one person being upset by what I said. So I'm going to say what I really think. This person, I'm going to leave that person completely free to react and think exactly what they want to. That is not my lane. I'm going to set them free. I'm going to be me. I'm going to let them be them. And however they choose to react, I am going to be okay. I've got my own back. It might be uncomfortable, right? It might be really uncomfortable, but I'm safe. Does that make sense? Right, I'm just looking into the chat. Learn to say no to things knowing it's about the thing, not about the person. Yes, that felt good. And the more you play with this, the more becomes possible. Like now I feel I can always say what I think. I can always say it if it's coming from love. I can always say it. Of course, if I'm coming up with a snide remark, then that's not okay. But I really can say what I think. People who can't tolerate me for that, well, maybe they're just not my people. And that's okay too. I'm safe. Yeah. I know, Paola, for me too. For me too. Yeah. So Wendy also says, used to do things thinking that if I said no, they would not like me or need me. And the truth is that they don't need you. Nobody needs us. They really don't. Proof is that we will die one day and we won't be there. And the world will still go round. So I just feel that it's much more joyful, for instance, in my marriage, to be with my husband because he loves me, not because he needs me. He can be alone. He's okay with being alone. If he's not alone, it's because he chooses to be with me. I find that so much more exhilarating than this idea of need. I don't need people to like me because I know people who like me. And if people don't like me, they're free not to like me. That's okay. Doesn't take anything away from me. There are enough people in the world, right? We don't run out of people. There are billions of them, right? So if that is sort of making you think, I'm really pleased. If that opens perspectives for you, if that encourages you to try out this idea of comfort and safety, control, comfort and safety. Yeah, know your self-worth. Exactly. I love that, Paola. Yeah. So I believe I'm worth my weight in gold and more, right? And that doesn't mean that I'm worth more than other people. It just means that I'm worth as much as everybody else. And that is astronomical. And there's nothing I have to do or say to prove that, really. Yeah. Wendy says, I've learned to let go of expectations of family. Yeah, you choose to be with those who appreciate me. You've set yourself free, right? And really, there's so much freedom when you're no longer dependent on comfort. So I'm just pausing here to let that sink in. If you can set yourself free from the idea that you need comfort to feel good, well, what could possibly happen to you then? You could be feeling good without the comfort. But as I'm saying, it's not like today you decide that and then it just happens. It's like you've got the rest of your life to work on that. Yes, it is a big one, Alice. Big one, letting go of expectations of family, yes. Yes, yes, yes. I'm sure we could all tell many stories on that account. Like I had to live thousands of miles away from my family to be able to be who I was, right? Because I didn't feel that I could be that in their company. So I'm definitely with you on that one, which is really a shame. So that's why we don't want to keep people prisoner either by needing them, right? If people feel that we need them, it's so uncomfortable for them. So if you haven't got any more comments on that or questions, I just want to move you into my decision making process. But Ellis is saying, Also, don't expect people to respond in the way you would. Yes. Yeah. We can't control other people, right? No point in trying. So one of the elements to trusting yourself and being able to deal with whatever comes your way is also dependent on you making decisions that you really trust. And I find that so much of what we call making decisions is just a reaction. It's just a sort of instant sort of emotional reaction to something. And it's not really a considered decision. And I think we all do that. We've got that instant reaction, like, no, I don't want that, or this should be like that, or it can't be like that, or I don't know what I want, so I'll just take that, or that is not possible. So, and it's just all emotional. And I'm all for emotions, but what I'm going to share with you now is really how I feel and believe very strongly that we make the best decisions when we are feeling good. So think about it. We can take an example from couples, for instance. Maybe it's been you. Maybe you've been in this situation, but I certainly have met a lot of people who've done that. They have ended a relationship based on a rash decision because something went wrong or they weren't feeling good. And so they think, oh, let me end this relationship because he did so and so, or he didn't say that, or he didn't do that, and now I'm fed up and let me end this. That is what I call a reaction. Or my boss said he wasn't satisfied with this work, so let me just hand in my notice. Like these are sort of major decisions. But when we take it onto a smaller perspective, just think about all through the day the decisions you're making as a reaction. And what if you started questioning that? Just feeling into it. If you're making a decision based on not feeling good, you're likely to end up regretting it. Do you recognize that? Maybe you can think through a few examples. You don't have to share them, but in your life, have you ever made a decision just because you wanted to avoid something, it had you feel bad, or in the moment of sort of heightened emotion, you made a decision that didn't really serve you long term? I think we've all been there, but if you can just bring some to mind. So Wendy says, I used to ask others for opinions, and now I do not do that when I make decisions. Yeah, you poll people. That's another way, right? You trust yourself. I made this decision. And what my business coach would say is there are no right decisions. There are only the decisions you make right. And by that, she means, well, when you know why you made the decision, this is why I made the decision based on these facts, based on these circumstances, based on these thoughts, this is what I decided, then we can feel good about it. And then that built resentment. Yes, I know that because when we listen to other people, as Paula says, we listen to other people and we let them decide. What feels so good about that is that we don't have to own our responsibility in it because we say, oh, my husband decided that. Right? I'm good. It wasn't my decision. It wasn't my fault. Right? I really recognize that because I've let my husband make some decisions that we've ended up regretting, as I'm sure he's allowed me to make some decisions that we also ended up regretting, right? I'm not saying it's just on him, but what I'm seeing here is that, well, I just abdicated responsibility. That's all. I didn't want to own the responsibility. Yeah, if you ask, you'll get more than one answer from different people, and you might not like them. Yes, you will always get different responses. And really, what you care about, what other people think, it's about you. right? So that's one way, like you can ask for information, that is one thing, but when you abdicate responsibility, it really doesn't serve us, right? Even if you look into it, when you look into it, that how is it always better to have taken on the responsibility or to have been empowered than to abdicate responsibility and be disempowered? How is it better that you make a decision that you then end up seeing, no, that was not the best decision, and then have compassion for it instead of just blaming other people? Blaming other people is never something that feels good, is it? I don't think. So, Loana, thank you for putting in your name. I can see you now. You like to consider the opinions of others, but I realize some view it as a sign of weakness. No, it's so good to consider other people's opinion, but don't let them decide for you. That's all, right? Of course, we can ask other people what they think if we are sure not to let them carry the responsibility of our decision. Are you with me on that? But anyway, let me get into my decision-making process. You can always comment or ask questions. So I want you to be feeling good when you make a decision, like small ones, yes, but the big life decisions, really, much more so. So the first thing you need to do, or that I do, you don't need to do it, but what I do is that I really have to slow down. I have to slow down so that I become really aware of how I feel. And I also think my intuition and like my subconscious is taking in information all the time. And if I keep being busy, I can't really hear what my subconscious is picking up on. And my subconscious is picking up on so much more than my consciousness, like my conscious mind is picking up on. So if I want to really have more information available, I have to slow down so that I can hear it. As simple as that. Slowing down is like going for a walk or sitting down with a cup of something and stop the doing. And I know that many of my clients say, well, I can't just sit, can I? Well, why not? Why can't you just sit? And you don't have to be out in nature on a mountaintop or at the beach. You can be sitting down in your kitchen. Right? Of course, I'm all for being surrounded by beauty, but you can really just basically sit down anytime, anywhere, and not do anything. It's really crucial that you stop the doing, right? And I know it can feel uncomfortable, but again, it's like a muscle we can flex. So sitting down, slowing down, and then noticing all the thoughts you're having. And when you can sort of pull away from all the thoughts that keep crowding in, just sort of notice them and not attach to them. Because when we attach to them, we're sort of ruminating. So just sit there and let your thoughts come in and go out, a little bit as if you were meditating. But I mean, we're not going there, but you can, right? So what can happen then is that we distract ourselves. Like if you sit down in your kitchen thinking, I'm going to make a decision now, I need to feel good. Oh, but I have to get up and polish the windows, or oh, I have to check the fridge, or oh, I have to do. We distract ourselves. That is also very human. It's also very normal, but we don't have to. We don't have to follow through on that because when we are uncomfortable, our brain gets busy with finding out how we can extract ourselves from feeling uncomfortable. And when you're saying breathing is good, yeah, you can always focus on your breathing. You're right. When you focus on your body, your mind can't be thinking as many thoughts. Like you could also be smelling something nice, you could be touching something nice, you could be looking at something. Engage your senses. Anything that is bodily will take you out of your mind and into your body, right? So be aware that your mind will try to distract you with your to-do list, with anything really, even disagreeable tasks. I mean, how many of you have done that? when there's something you know, well, I should really be getting on with this, you find a million things to do that you don't like doing, but it's better than the thing you're avoiding, right? That is what I call distraction. So maybe you could be distracting yourself from making a decision because you don't trust yourself. But if you manage to sit down, stop the doing, you could be out walking too, right? You could be moving your body, that is good too. But just still your mind. Think of a place or a person or a thing or a situation that you really like. So think about it or talk about it to yourself. Talk yourself into if it's a lovely memory of some good time you spent with friends or family or lovers or whatever. Feel into it and feel the feelings come on till you feel good. Look at a photo of a loved one or look at some beauty. Like I've got flowers behind me. I like to have beauty around me. And so I can always find something beautiful to look at and really become present with it. And so I can feel, this feels good. I can talk to myself about it, or I can just keep noticing it, seeing it, hearing it. Feeling good. I think music is also a very, very good way to influence your feelings straight away. Listen to something that has you feel good. Slow down your mind and start feeling good. When you start feeling good, maybe you want to be a little bit more specific and you can name the specific feeling you are feeling. And it could be satisfaction. I think that's an easy feeling for me to feel. It's much more easy for me to feel satisfaction than excitement or exhilaration, or I don't know about you, satisfaction is easy. Love is easy for me. I can always think of somebody I love. So those are very, very easy go-to feelings. I can always get myself there. So I'd love to know an easy feeling for you to get to. I mentioned satisfaction and love. Maybe you've got some more ideas while I take a sip of water. Just going to self-medicate a little bit here to avoid the coughing. Around pets, gratitude. Oh, super, Tanya. Super gratitude, yes. Accomplishment, yes. I love that, Paula. Thinking of your past accomplishments, reaffirm I'm capable. Calm, very good one. Calmness, yes. So good. Thank you for sharing. So once you've got that feeling, like Paula pinpointed the thought she has. I'm thinking of this, and this has me feel that. So a way you can always bring back a feeling is when you start thinking the same thoughts. So if you think, oh, when I took my degree, I remember my final exam, I went up there and I aced it. And you're thinking about that, or you're thinking, the moment I met my lover, this was a thought I had. I love him, or I'm desirable, or whatever it is, something, a thought that will bring you back into that feeling. Once you've pinpointed the thought, you can always come back to the feeling. Does that make sense? Sometimes it's more difficult to access a feeling without a thought, but maybe not for you. I just find that with the thought is sort of something we can write down and we can find it again, if you see what I mean. So you can find a thought that has you feel good, have it on hold, like, oh, let me go to that thought whenever I'm off track. So once you've got that feeling of feeling good, look at the decision you're trying to make and tell yourself, I don't have to make a decision right now, but I want to. I'm going to make a decision. dreadful. I'm going to possibly make a decision. How do I want to feel about it? I'm already feeling good. How do I want to feel about this decision? And it can be like accomplished. It can be, I can't think of anything, but satisfaction can be like a feeling of progress. It can be like feeling unstuck. Anything that is desirable for you. So you've got that measuring stick. You've got that measuring stick for knowing whether you enjoyed that decision or not. So, I'm sorry, I'm running out of voice. But my point here is, if you get yourself into a good feeling place, you make your decision, making sure that that feeling is either transferable to after the decision, or there's an even better feeling available once you make the decision. You make that decision and you feel inside of you, how am I feeling now? So let's say you're making a really serious decision about, shall I buy this house or shall I not buy it? Do I want this as my home? Just use this process when you're feeling good. Then tell yourself, I've already bought my house. How am I feeling? And how are you feeling? I've already accomplished this. How am I feeling? Play with it in your mind. If you are looking to make an investment, tell yourself, I've already made this investment. How am I feeling? So you're playing a trick with your mind, really, because you're sort of tricking it into believing you've already made the decision. But you can still undo it, right? Because it's just happening in your mind. It's completely safe to make a decision as long as you don't act on it, right? Because there are only consequences once you act on a decision. It's just try it out in your mind, a little bit as if you're trying on clothes to see what it looks like. Try on a decision to see what it feels like. So don't go into, oh, in my new house, oh, I will have to repaint the sitting room and I will have to blah, 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 blah. That is just like thoughts. It's not the feeling. How will I feel once I've bought that house? That is what will guide you to the best decisions. If you're deciding, oh, shall I go out with this bloke or not? Well, how will I feel once I go out with him? How will it feel? And it's okay to have butterflies, right? It's okay to be a little bit nervous about it in a nice way. But it's not okay if you have thoughts that go, oh, will he love me? Will he find me desirable? Will I be well dressed? Does he like my blah, blah, blah? Those are just thoughts. It's not feelings. So I think our feelings won't betray us. They won't trick us. They won't have us do things we will regret. I think sometimes our mind gets in the way and we have those thoughts that I mentioned at the beginning. What if I get this wrong? What if I'm not supposed to be doing that? Those are thoughts. They're not feelings. So try it on with your mind. In your mind, there are no consequences because all of this is happening only in your mind, right? Perfectly safe. Try it out first. And so you've made your decision. Now you have to decide, do I want to act on it or not? And then your thoughts will come running in like, oh, if I have to act on it, blah, blah, blah. And those are all the things that will have you stay in your comfort zone, really. Those are just your ego thoughts. By ego, I mean those fearful thoughts. So about buying your house, if, having decided, I will feel accomplished, I will feel at home, I will feel grateful when I buy my house, you decide to go ahead and buy it. If now you're having thoughts about oh, I won't be able to move all my furniture, or how will I do this, or how will I do that, right? Those are just thoughts that don't really serve you, right? And those are just problems that you can solve when you get there. Do you see what I mean? So there's what's happening in your emotional body, and there's what's happening in your mind, in your ego mind, right? Does that make sense? I think we can always trust our feelings, really, because our feelings are informed by our subconscious. And we can't argue with our feelings, right? I hope that makes sense. So have you got any questions? Any comments before we close off? I would like to share with you that if you feel that you want to go deeper into trust, the way we've been talking about it, feeling more trust in life, feeling more trust in yourself, knowing that you can handle whatever comes your way, I would love to offer you what I call a life audit session, where we can go into how you can create more trust in your life with yourself and in your ability to handle whatever comes your way, right? I put the link in the chat. Feel free to book an appointment. I would love to talk to you. Loana, you're so, so welcome. I really would like for you to consider what your life would be like if you were able to trust yourself and your decisions. How would that change? What would that change? Who would you be? Who would you be as an empowered person who felt confident not in her ability to control the outcomes, but in her ability to handle whatever comes her way, right? And I think that personality is something we can influence, and I don't think it's carved in stone, and I don't think it's permanent. I think we can change, is what I'm saying. We can decide. So we can decide, I want to trust myself. I'm ready. We really can decide. Once we've decided, well, then it becomes about the practice. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you. It becomes about the practice, and that is where I can come in helpful. I can keep reminding you of who you really are, and that is not that fearful person, right? Just that expanded version, or what I like to call the best version of you. You can call it the highest version, whatever feels good to you. But it's really allowing you to step into that person where you can be so much more of who you really are. I think that's available to all of us, right? So if that is something you want to dive into now, please go ahead, book a session. It's my online scheduler. If you're watching the replay, you will have received the link with the replay. And I'd be very, very happy for you to go ahead and book a session. So I hope this has been useful. You can still comment in the box below, I think, on YouTube. You can still comment there, or you can always send me an email to contact@katrinahorn.com. You can find me on social media. I would love to meet up with you. I would love to chat to you. And I would love to know if I can help you in any way. Thank you for staying with me to the end. I love talking to you. Thank you. Bye for now. I shall stop the recording. Bye-bye.
You stopped the recording.